Hello everyone, this is Malik Khwaja from Think High Consultants. Yet another live session for you for the updates on South Australia 491 Subclass or Subclass 190 under the Talent and Innovators stream, and also the methods how to lodge the registration of interest for this process. So we'll bring up the slides on the screen and then we can continue to discuss on without further delay. If you guys have any questions during this session or after this session, you can put it in the comment box. You can send us the email or you can call us on the contact numbers you will see on the bottom or top of the screen very soon, or in the comment box as well. So let's proceed further. So our today's session, I'm going to repeat, is for the Talent and Innovator Program for South Australia nomination for subclass 491 and subclass 190. So what is Talent and Innovator Program? So Talent and Innovator Program is the special program that provides the applicants or the candidates who are either currently living in South Australia or are either offshore or an interstate who wants to apply for subclass 491 or subclass 190 GSM visas. However, in order to apply these visas, they have to meet a certain published requirements for South Australia nomination. If they are unable to meet the standard published requirement for South Australia nomination, they can also apply through this Talent and Innovator Program. Basically, this Talent and Innovator Program recognize the skills of particular candidates and also see the opportunities available for them to work in a critical priority sector. It is also available for those who are already working in the critical priority sectors, or those who wants to work in these critical priority sectors, or already working in other states. So it has total 5 different streams, and there is another additional stream which is for the offshore applicants. Yes, you have heard it right. It is also open for the offshore applicants. So offshore applicants, just get ready to listen to the seminar because you have some updates from us to get invited for subclass 191 or 190 from offshore while living there. So 5 streams, I'm going to read it up. So if you can see employment stream, so this is for those who are working for the South Australian business who are currently working in the critical priority sector and have a good standing. Further details we're going to discuss in the next slide. Yes. Second stream is the outer regional South Australia workforce stream. So those candidates who are currently living and working in the outer regional South Australia and are unable to meet the normal published requirements, they can apply through this stream. Third stream is for the startup and the small business stream. This is for those entrepreneurs who want to do a startup business in South Australia and trying to make up a big business sooner or later. This stream they can choose to apply. Fourth stream is for those graduates who studied from South Australia, either a diploma or a master's or a bachelor's degree for 2 years, or it depends on the special requirement that would be mentioned on the South Australia occupation list separately. So however, those high performing graduates who have a higher GPA, somewhere between 5 to 6, we're going to discuss it in the latest slide, will be able to apply through this stream. And the good part is that you may or may not need a work experience post qualification in South Australia. Fifth stream is the independent talent stream. So if you don't fall under all the above streams, you can apply under the independent talent stream. For that, you must be a high caliber applicant to apply for this one. With the next slide, we're going to discuss the employment stream. However, let's just take a small break and then we're going to come back right up. Thank you.
Jess talking to her parents on Skype and showing concern that she wants to stay in Australia as she's getting really good opportunity to one of the renowned company. She further said, that I'm in search of a good consultant and I'll apply TR through them.
Okay, goodbye, Mom and Dad. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, take care, dear.
Jess opens her email as soon as calls finishes and she sees a newsletter from Think Higher Consultants, which says free temporary visa application if you get professional year program through Think Higher. She calls to Think Higher and discuss her situation with their qualified counselor. They explained her the benefits of professional year as well as offered her free temporary visa application. They also explained the checklist for temporary visa as well. Jess was so satisfied that she submitted all her documents online and got her temporary residency visa and professional year application done. Contact Think Higher Consultants for resident return visa. We provide personalized and on-spot services leads to permanent visa pathways and Australian citizenship. Facebook/Think Higher Consultants. Twitter/Think Higher House. Instagram/Think Higher Consultants.
Welcome back. Let me address the topic again for today's session is for the Talent and Innovator program for subclass 491 and 190 for either onshore or offshore or interstate applicants. Moving next would be the employment stream. So employment stream is for those who are either currently in South Australia and have been offered a job in their nominated occupation, or it's for those who are already working in South Australia. However, there are some specific requirements that you need to meet, which is listed down on this on you can see on this screen. So number one is that the business you've been working for has to be in the priority sectors list for the South Australia, and it should fall under the industry sectors such as creative industry, defense industries, energy and mining, wine and agribusiness, health and medical industry, high-tech industries. This is for specifically for the digital and the engineering applicants, international education, space industries, and tourism industries. So overall, they have covered almost most of the 90% of the industries that are for the professional and the trade workers in demand in South Australia. You can also apply for this stream if you are either indirectly working for these industries. For the business who have the clients in these industries, you can also apply for this one. Second point for this stream would be that the business you're working for has to be a properly established business and has been located and operating in South Australia from last 12 months. This is very important. So it's not just that the ABN is registered for the business, the location and the premises location has to be there in South Australia. So the business must have the proof, the business address proof, valid business address proof for the last 12 months. Um, Third requirement is that the annual turnover for the company has to be 4 million unless they are a startup company or if they are located in the outer regional South Australia. So what is outer regional South Australia? You may question. This question will be answered in the next stream slide. So just stay on with us and then we'll answer this question for you. Next point is the business must have a good standing. So it must be a well-known business, must have a website, and the normal people in South Australia, the local people must know about this business. So it shouldn't be a very new business and a small business. Next slide. So here you can see. So in the previous slide, we have discussed what are the employer's requirement. Now here you will see the applicant's requirement, the person who is applying for this stream. So number one requirement is that the person who is applying under this stream must have an annual salary package of 80,000 and it has to be a full-time employment. However, an exemption can be granted to these applicants if they are working for a startup business or they are working in the outer regional South Australia, or they are a recent graduate from South Australia. So this is also important. So let's say if you get a package for 75,000 full-time salary, don't you worry about. As long as you're working for a startup or working in the regional area, regional South Australia, or a recent graduate, you are covered up with this requirement. Next is that if you are currently located in South Australia, you must have a work visa with you. It can be a student visa as well. Okay, they haven't mentioned this thing specific that it has to be a work visa. Any temporary visa you hold in South Australia would work for this stream. However, you must already be working for this business. What does that mean? So if you are working for this business on a part-time job, let's say if you're earning somewhere around 60,000 per annum, however, the business wants to upgrade your position and give you a promotion and give you a 80,000 full-time contract with the same business, yes, you will be eligible to apply for this stream as an applicant. Furthermore, you must have a proficient English. What is a proficient English? So we can give an example, like if you have given an IELTS exam, you must have 7 each in IELTS. If you are giving PT academic, you must have 65 each in IELTS, and so on, CA academic and stuff. And then you can also have the alternative test with the equivalent score with them. Third thing is that you must have a considerable experience in the field. So even if you are a recent graduate, at least some amount of experience in the field in the past would work. Even if you were working part-time or voluntary during your studies, that would also show the interest for this stream. Fourth thing is that if invited for this stream, the business, you must have to provide a short business case of just only 2 pages, where you have to mention your skill sets, your qualification background, your experience background, how you're gonna work out and then contribute to the industry sectors that we have discussed on the previous slides, and how you're gonna improve the growth in South Australia while working in your occupation for the business. You need to also note that if you are working in your nominated occupation, only then you can apply for the Talent and Innovator program. So that's a must-up requirement. And for any stream that we are discussing today, either the employment stream or the regional stream or the starter stream and so on, you have to submit a registration of interest, also known as ROI, for the consideration. Moving next slide, we're going to discuss about the new stream, which is called Outer Regional South Australia Workforce Stream. This stream is a very good for those who recently moved to South Australia. So those applicants who are currently living and working in South Australia in the regional outskirts of South Australia are eligible to apply under this stream if they meet some other requirements. So the number one requirement, the employer with whom they are working with has to be in the outer region of South Australia. Let's go to the next slide to see what regions comes under the outer region of South Australia. So here you can see South Australia is divided into two parts. One part is called Greater Adelaide. So those regions who comes as a city Adelaide or near Adelaide, nearby Adelaide, they comes in the Greater Adelaide region. Those regions that goes beyond that comes into the outer region of South Australia. Now you're gonna question, if for Home Affairs the whole South Australia is a regional area, then why the South Australia divided this thing in two parts? It is because of the demand of the occupation in those regions, and also they want more people to work in the regional South Australia in order to improve the growth of South Australia in these sectors. So you can search this postcodes on the South Australia website easily, or if you can contact us, we will be able to guide you on that one. Let's get back to the previous slide. So we have already discussed the outer region of South Australia, postcodes and the region. Second thing is the business has to be located in those region for the last 12 months. Also, the business must have a good standing in there, means local people must know this business there. Okay. Now, as an applicant, the requirement is pretty simple. If you are in South Australia, which is a mandatory requirement for this one, you must have a temporary visa. It could be a student visa, poetry visa, or any visas you may have, and already commenced work for this business. This is the important key. Second thing is that in order to apply for this stream, you must need a support letter from the employer outlining the details why they want you to be working with them for the future, and why they want you to work with them for the next 1 year or 2 year. If they have given you the contract, then why they need this one, and why only on this position they require this employee. Okay, so they can also mention that you have got the skills, right skills, you have got the previous experience. If you are already working with this business and they want you to continue with this business because they can't find other Austrian citizens or PR to cover this position, so they can mention these sort of points in this support letter. This support letter will go to your registration of interest application, which is also called ROI. So you need to make sure that you have this thing ready. We're going to go to the next stream. Okay, so this stream is for those who are willing to do a startup or a small business anywhere in South Australia. So this is for the fresh entrepreneurs or those who already have a business in an interstate or offshore and wants to come to South Australia to run a new startup business. So the requirements also are pretty straight. The startup business or a small business must be established business and must be running and operating in South Australia from last 12 months. However, the person who is applying for this stream must be living there for at least 24 months, which is of 2 years. So living there for 2 years, however, the business must be there for the last 12 months, 1 year. Second thing is that the business from the business you must get some salary income. So let's say if you are a CEO of the business or if you are the owner of the business, then you must get some salary share from this business other than the profit or the wages that you are giving to the other staff, and it has to meet the minimum taxable income requirement that are mentioned on the Department of Home Affairs website. The link will be given there on the website. You can check it out, the minimum requirement, and if you fall under this one, this stream would be very good for you. Third thing is, just like the previous streams, you need to align your business with the priority growth industries, like high tech and the others that we discussed in the previous slide. Next point is that you must have at least 2 employees working with you other than yourself. So 3 employees in total along with you has to be working for this startup or small business. Another requirement is that you need to submit a business case if selected for the ROI, and the business case we already discussed in the previous slide what you need to mention in that one. A self-employed applicants or the subcontractors must apply through the stream. However, you need to know that you must have some share in this business, or your partner must have some share in this business where you're applying for. Note that the franchisee business are ineligible for this stream. So make sure you are opening a brand new business, not the franchisee, not taking a franchisee or not opening a franchisee. Okay. Yes. Next. Now this scene we're going to discuss. First we run through an ad and then we'll be right back for you. Thank you.
Mr. Hamid is an engineer who has recently graduated from one of the engineering university under Washington Accord. After successful completion of his studies, he was looking for opportunities that gave him job-ready experience and career pathway. One of his friends advised that Australia are looking for fresh international graduates with good English, offering them work visa that allows them to work and study in Australia. Mr. Hamid consulted Think Higher Consultants without wasting any time. Think Higher Consultants provided him hassle-free and high-quality processing services. He got his 476 work visa in few months. Hamid landed to Australia and found a good job. He also studied professional year program in Australia through Think Higher Consultants and got his permanent residency in no time. Contact Think Higher Consultants for 476 engineering graduate work visa. He provided personalized and on-spot services, leads to permanent visa pathways and Australian citizenship. Web, www.thinkhigher.com.au. Facebook, Think Higher Consultants. Twitter, Think Higher AUS. Instagram, Think Higher Consultants.
Welcome back to the session. Let's continue with our fourth stream, which is a high performing graduate stream. Now, this stream is for those who have studied in Australia under the higher education institutes and have completed the qualification from there. Now, they have a specific requirements to meet in order to be qualified to be called as high performing graduate. Number one requirement is that you must have completed a relevant bachelor's or higher qualification in South Australia from the higher education provider in the last 2 years. So what does it means as relevant bachelor's or higher qualification? It means that the skill assessment that you're going to apply for the nominated occupation should match with the qualification that you are going to study in South Australia. Second requirement is that you must complete minimum of 50% of this qualification in South Australia. What does that mean? Is that if you started this qualification in an institute in Melbourne, let's say for example in Melbourne, Victoria, you started this qualification and you completed 1 year of this qualification, and this qualification is worth of 2 years, and then you complete 1 year here, and that gets all the credit transferred to South Australia under the same course and complete the remaining 1 year. This way, you're gonna meet this 50% requirement, 50% qualification complete requirement for the under this stream. Third point is that the South Australian qualification must be in your field as your skill assessment and nomination occupation, as I have already mentioned, covered in the first point. Fourth is that you must be currently residing in South Australia and you must have continuously reside in South Australia post course qualification. What does that mean? Then when studying in South Australia, you need to make sure that you were physically present in South Australia for that 50% of your qualification duration, as well as you have to continue living in South Australia until you get this nomination right, and after that as well. Another point is that you must have a proficient English overall. As we have discussed already, proficient English is just like IELTS 7 each or PT 65 each, all alternative. Next point will be that the previous study and the work experience may be taken into consideration for this application. So the case officer for your application will also see your previous academic background. So make sure you have a perfect resume to submit with this application. Last point is that you must have to submit a short summary that should mention your skill sets, your qualifications, your experience, and your specialties under your nominated occupation, so that the case officer would see e- even though you are a recent graduate, however, you have the required skills and qualification in order to fall under this stream and do remarkable things in your career ahead under those specific target sectors. Moving next. So this is the last stream out of those five, other than the offshore one that we're going to discuss after that. So anyone who is not meeting any requirements that we have discussed in the past four stream can apply through this independent talent scheme. So the requirements is pretty straight. You must be living in South Australia, not interstate, not offshore. You must have at least 95 points in your expression of interest. That means it includes the 5 points that the state gives you for subclass 190, or if you're applying for subclass 491, you must have at least 80 points in the expression of interest plus 15 points for your subclass 491. That gives you 95 points in total for the EOI. Third point is that you must have a proficient plus English. What does this means? That you must have 77.5 in each individual band in us, not overall, in each. Similarly, you require the similar kind of alternate bands in PTE or CE academic or any alternative tests that are accepted by the Department of Home Affairs. Next is that you must have some relevant experience in the field. This will also be taken into consideration while you are applying through independent talent stream. You also need to submit a business case summary where you have to mention, as we have already previously discussed, your skill sets, your qualification, your experience in the relevant field, and your specialty under this occupation. Also, you must need to have the knowledge for South Australian employment and the businesses, local businesses that are here already working. Also, you must know about the growth industries that we have discussed in the first page of this session. And you have to relate your experience with all these things and write up a 2 page worth of summary, business case summary, to justify your case to apply for this independent talent stream. So, as we have discussed all the five streams which are for the onshore applicants, from next slide, we're going to discuss for those who are currently offshore, means who are living and working outside Australia. They are also able to apply for the subclass 491 or 190 through offshore stream via lodging a registration of interest. That will be in the next slide. So here you go for offshore applicants. As you are aware that most of these states are already closed for the offshore applicants for this financial year. However, South Australia is still there accepting the register of interest, and also if you meet the minimum requirement, as well as if you can show them that you have a specialist skills, then you might be able to select it in order to apply for a nomination application, where they're going to check all the details that you have mentioned in the ROI. If they are correct or not, check your relevant documents accordingly. So how you going to apply? Offshore applicants, you have to apply through a registration of interest, also called ROI. You must have 8 years of experience in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation. This is specific for the engineering candidates. So if you have an engineering occupation, 8 years is a must requirement for them. However, the other occupations may have different or less requirements than 8 years of work experience. For that, you need to go through the South Australia occupation list. There you will find a different requirement for different occupations. However, for engineers, it's 8 years. Similarly, you must have a superior English level, and then you must have like superior English, let's say for example 80 hours or 79 each in PTE, unless specified different in the South Australia occupation list. So for engineers, it's superior English for sure, but for other occupations like nurses and stuff, they may be accepting them for the proficient English. So you must always check the South Australia occupation list on the South Australian migration website. Last point is that you must have at least 85 points in the expression of interest. That also includes your 491 points that you are claiming that the state is going to give you. So that would be 70 plus 15 points, make it up to total 85 points. Okay. And also for this one, you need to make sure that you check this out of your occupation list, as your requirement might be less. You may be able to apply on 65 points. Uh, Most of these occupation who are eligible for the 65 points are nurses, doctors, and so on. So always check the occupation list. In the next slide, we're going to discuss, and that will be our final slide, how to lodge the registration of interest. Also, I need to mention all these streams that we have discussed so far, including this offshore applicant stream. Every stream has to be applied through a registration of interest application, where you have to provide the maximum information and some of the documents, which we're going to discuss on the next slide. However, we'll take a short break now, and we're going to come back to cover how to lodge the registration of interest. Thank you. Welcome back. So the last and final slide that we're going to discuss how to lodge the registration of interest for all the streams that we discussed today. Yes, number one point, you have to create a login on the South Australia migration page. Number one thing, that's the number one step you have to do. Okay, second step, which is not mentioned here, you have to lodge an expression of interest, also known as EOI, for subclass 491 and subclass 190. In the expression of interest, you need to make sure the state that you're going to select to apply would be South Australia. Just need to make sure that the right subclass are added and the right state has been selected. Third point would be that you would require your identification details, your visa details. If you're onshore or if you're offshore, obviously you won't have the visa details then. You have to provide your educational details, your education background, and your relevant experience details, as well as if you don't have relevant experience. However, if you are working in the outer region of South Australia in any other occupation, you must record those details, as it will be beneficial for you to show that you are in South Australia and you want to get this nomination so that you can contribute to the economy of South Australia under those industrial sectors that we discussed in the previous slide. Next point is that you may be required to submit a support letter from the employer. This is important. Support letter part we already covered in the previous streams, so you can go back to our live session and check out those requirements there. You may also be required to attach your resume. This is specifically most specifically for the independent talent streams, where you are applying based on your points, your superior or proficient plus English, and your 95 points. Hence, they has to see your resume to see what's your qualification background, what was your experience background, what kind of certification you have done, where you're currently working, what's your next plan for that one. Last but not the least, this is very important part, and the case officer also sees this thing. Other than the meeting the minimum requirement that we discuss, is that you need to put up a 400 words, maximum 400 word write up in the application, where you have to show how you're going to bring the new ideas, how you're going to implement your skills, and also how you're going to innovate in South Australia by contributing to South Australia in the growth sector, which we have discussed in the past, like high tech and stuff. And you need to also mention about your qualifications, your prior work experience, what you gained from your previous experience, and how you're going to implement your prior experience and your skills in order to improve the current growth of South Australia. So that's it. As we so you need to make sure that you don't confuse in this part. So in the registration of interest, you just have to submit a 400 words of the write-up. However, when you're gonna be get invited, wherever you see in the streams, on those streams, if you see a business case, or if you see uh, a write-up in the one which we discussed, you need to submit of maximum up to 2 pages. So in the ROI, you're going to put up the summarized version of that. However, when you're going to get invited, you have to submit a business case or worth of 2 pages, mentioning all these details in detail. So that's pretty much it for today's session. I hope you enjoyed this session. And if you have any questions, you can shoot us an email, or give us a call, or visit our office, or you can contact us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and different social media platforms that you are already aware of. And then we're going to post up some links as well in the website. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the next